Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 52 of Wise Wednesdays with RK. My name is Ruqayya Khan, and I am super excited to bring to you Russ Johns, who is the producer of the Pirate Syndicate. He is a podcast host himself. This, I think, would be one of the few times when he's on the other side of the interview table, and that's why I'm super excited. He's an inspirational speaker, a coach, an advocate of mental health, and an amazing human being. I've had the chance to be on his show as well, and he has this mantra, which is kindness is cool and smiles are for free. So without further ado, I bring to you Russ.
Hey, how are you?
I am good. I am so excited.
Happy Wednesday.
Thank you. Happy Wednesday to you. Well, it's the morning, and this is interesting, isn't it? For you, it's probably daytime, 9
It's a
a.m.
completely different experience. Yes, it's 10 o'clock for me. So
It's 9 p.m. I think daylight saving is now done. So it's super. So first of all, thank you, Russ, for saying yes, and I love the work that you do. And for those of you who are joining in for the first time and don't have a good idea of what the show is all about, I have a tiny little video that I'd like to play for you so that you kind of get the backstory of why we do Wise Wednesdays. All right, then. So with your permission, Russ, I hit start.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. Wise Wednesdays started on April 1st with a humble episode on forgiveness. Between then and now, we've had heart-led conversations on happiness, stress management, relationships, resilience, public speaking, respecting boundaries, self-discovery, mindset, just being, listening, reclaiming your life, intuition, and even food. I would like to thank all my listeners and the guests who gave me their time and trust. It is because of you that we kept going. It is because of you that we kept growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so, so much. Welcome back, everybody, and Russ. So we have Cindy watching us all the way from the US, Ohio, and we've got Vidya watching us and a couple of other people. Please type in your name and where you're watching us from so that we can say hello to you. And Russ, you said you want to speak about the transformation of loss to leadership.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's important in this day and age and where we are to understand that we're all capable of loss. We're all in a situation where there's going to be ups and downs in our life, and loss is part of our journey. And if we recognize that loss is something that we're going to work through, work past, and I know that when we were talking earlier on my show, we were talking about the challenges you had losing your dad and some of the things that impact our lives. And it's what happens to us. It's the transformation that takes place as a result of our loss. It's a transformation as a result of that experience in our life. And we have to think about how we can actually build to it and use that experience in a positive way and a positive outcome. And I know grief fits into the equation. And I know that we have so many things to be grateful for. And then when loss takes place, there's many times where we're kind of lost and we're like, I don't know what I want to do right now. I don't know where I need to go right now. I don't know who I need to be right now. And during that process and that evolution that we go through the grief process, through the loss, and it could be any loss, there's so many things that we can do and explore. And sometimes we just need to feel what we're feeling and be who we are and just listen to who we are and be open to exploring change in our life. And as we experience this loss, we have to actually open up and understand that there's another place to go. There's a new beginning. There's something else in our life that we can actually be challenged with. And I just want to put that out there because it's so important for people to know that there is something out there. There is something better. And that, my son committed suicide, and I would gladly give him the gift that plant this seed and nurture this idea that there is opportunity on the other side of your grief. There is something on the other side of this loss and this pain right now. And so believe that there's something, even if you don't feel it right now, there has to be something on the other side. So that's where I'm coming from. And I just wanted to share that and plant that seed and nurture that idea that there is transformation. There is something more.
Yes. I do agree with you. There is always a transformation that happens on the other side of loss. And I think it's just about being kind to yourself and giving yourself that time to, I wouldn't say put your head around it, but kind of letting the idea sink in to your heart, perhaps, where you're completely open up to it. Russ, you've always been the storyteller, and I call you the storyteller because you bring out the best in us. And I've been on your show and I listen to your podcast. I love the questions you ask.
Yeah.
Quite literally. And the way you kind of weave the stories, the questions, and get the beautiful answers out of your guests is profound. So who is Russ?
Ooh, I love that question. And I'll answer it in a story.
Yes, please.
I am so many different things. And when and labels are probably not ideal, because when people ask you who you are, a lot of people actually respond with what they do, not who they are.
Okay.
And it's really challenging to answer, how do you describe yourself without telling us what you do? And that's really important to know, because I am so many different things, and I've done so many different things. And really who I am is, I am someone that cares. I am someone that loves deeply. I feel very much alive. I am alive, and I am continuing to be curious. I'm exploring other possibilities every single day. Some of the things that I love to do is I learn something new every day. I create something new every day and work towards helping someone every single day. And I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a caregiver, and I'm a creator. I create something. I'm actually creating a new musical track every day to see what I can learn as a result of creating something like that every single day. So complex, curious, and always asking questions.
Complex, curious, creative, kind. Absolutely. So what led you to, okay, so we have the podcast that you do. What led you to creating these podcasts, the music that you do? Where was the transition for you? What's your story?
My first love is music. And from 10 years old, well, probably earlier than that, I was pulling pots and pans out of my mom's cabinet and banging on pots and pans. And I got my first drum set when I was 11. And then I started playing live music at probably 15, 16 years old. And I was in bands for years, and I played almost every single night, almost every single day for years and years until I was in close to, I think I was 27, 28. And then I fell 3 stories off a billboard. And I was in advertising at the time. I was doing billboards, and I fell 3 stories and came down and shattered my arm and my leg and I was in rehab for 2 years. And as a drummer, and losing the loss of my arm and some of the functionality, I don't have a wrist or an elbow anymore. And I didn't let that limit me. However, I changed my philosophy in music, and I thought, well, I'm going to do something else now. And so I actually got into technology to learn how to play music with technology instead of a band. And so that kind of led me down a different path. And I'm in technology, and I continue to be in technology. And that's what led me to the transformation of actually leading teams and working with engineers and creating software and being a project manager in different activities. I was a firefighter and an EMT, and I was a speaker and a coach and training lots of people on technology. And all of these adventures unfolded as a result of that transformation, that moment in time where loss took ownership and actually created an opportunity for me to learn something new and to decide, okay, I have a loss. I'm no longer a musician. I am something else. I need to reinvent myself. I need to re-identify with what I can do instead of what I can't do. And so that journey took me down a path of being so many different people and so many different episodes and chapters in the book of life that I was able to now get back into music, and in a different way, new and unique way. And so I'll see what the journey unfolds in front of me now, and I will continue to do that. And I've DJ'd, I've played music in different venues and performed in Houston and in different parts of the country. And the show actually was a result of, the pirate broadcast is an accumulation of all this experience and being a podcaster and creating podcasts for other people and the technology and the audio and being in radio. I managed radio stations, and I used to broadcast sports over AM radio, and all of this technology and experience has just unfolded. And so the pirate broadcast brought together the technology, the audio, the interest and curiosity, and how I can actually bring a little bit of kindness to other people, because why not? You don't know what other people are going through. You don't know the struggles or the challenges are out there. So you have to make sure that you have a little kindness in your world. So, I mean, it's just all of these things are coming together all the time, and we're our product of our experience. So take what you've learned along the way and see how you can help people, and amazing things show up in your world.
So true. Russ, so you had a loss. Your career as a musician, as a drummer, kind of came to an unexpected standstill. And then you chose to look at the possibilities. You chose to look at what else you could do. Now, that was you. What would you like to say to somebody who might be going through a struggle and doesn't really know what is on the other side, or even can't fathom to look at the other side? They're just in that story right now. They're bang in the middle of it. It's in their face. It's all over. That's all they see. What could you say to someone like that?
I would say the same thing that I had to say for myself. When I look in the mirror and say, I have two choices. Either I can be a victim and say, poor me, and feel sorry for myself, or I could say, no one is going to rescue me. And the only way that I am going to get out of this is be responsible for taking baby steps, little steps every single day to move into a direction that is going to make a change in my life. And the thing that we have to remember is that something in motion has a tendency to stay in motion. And so doing a habit every single day and just doing something that moves us into a positive direction can make a world of difference. And I'm a huge fan of gratitude. Gratitude has been one of the most important pieces of my life. And when I was in those dark places where, I lost a job, or I lost a career, or I lost my son, or I lost my drumming, I was in the hospital and, they were ready to take my arm off. All of these moments in dark places, I just had to believe that I have a choice. And if you have a choice and you can have gratitude for what you have rather than what you're lacking, that's the difference that you can make in your heart and your mind, in your ability to see something different than what you're at right now.
Gratitude. I think the more you are thankful, the more you have to be thankful for.
Yes. Think about
Brilliant.
the little, and it doesn't have to be big.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you could say, in this moment, all of my needs are met.
Yeah.
Even all of your dreams may not be fulfilled. You're here. You're one in a million. You're one in it. You're unique. You're special. You're here for a reason, and you're making a difference in somebody's life. You're making an impact in somebody's life, and somebody loves you. Somebody cares about you, and you're important, and you're worthy of making it matter. And so having a little gratitude in what you have can be that baby step every single day to get to a different place where, grief and loss and despair and that emptiness that you feel in the dark place that, we have to go through in order to find joy and happiness. Happiness comes from within. Happiness is not something that is delivered at the front porch. It's not in a package. It's something that we have to develop and create within ourselves. And gratitude helps deliver that package. And I think that there's a lot of people that need to hear that and receive that and be open to the idea.
Yes. So it definitely isn't something that gets delivered. It's something that you have to create from within. So what makes Russ happy?
Events like this, activities like this, where we can actually talk about something that's more positive than the daily news, something that I can do to help someone else, providing that there is an opportunity to actually do something productive. Creating something brings me happiness. Solving one of the problems, a simple problem that it's like, okay, that moment that you have where you are challenged by something and you think, oh, how am I ever going to get through this? How am I ever going to get past this? And I know from experience and I know from practice that eventually all things work out. Not necessarily how we imagine they might. And they also end up working out eventually, right?
Yes, they do.
And so that's what brings me happiness, is solving those problems, getting through things. There's a stress that you have when you're working for other people and you're doing other things, and you don't have control over everything. And as you go through your day and as you create and produce outcomes, you know, seeing that outcome be developed and delivered is something that brings me happiness.
Super. So you spoke about solving problems and trusting the process. Tell me about the times when you feel tired. Because when you're going through a challenge, you're not always happy. It can take effort. Now, and before I go into that, we have Ruba watching from Saudi. She says happiness is a choice, and I love what she also added here. She said we are our behaviors.
Absolutely, Ruba.
Yes,
It's
and
absolutely true.
so tell me, when our behavior, like, sometimes I'll give you my example.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in my dark space, when I was in that place where it felt like, okay, I do not know how I'm going to cope without having Papa around. When I was in that space, I didn't really know what next, but I had to keep a strong front, or at least I thought I had to, because that was the expectation. At least with my family, with my mom, I was told I have to be strong for her. When that was when I was in India. But then when I came back to UAE, I took some time. I literally, and I have some friends watching, so they know what I'm talking about. I literally did not take any calls. I gave myself some time. I refused to take calls. I refused to reply back. It wasn't out of any other reason but that I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I was tired of being strong. I just needed my space.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about those times that you're tired of being strong? How do you then keep going?
That is a great question, and one of the things that it's changed over time. It's changed over time, and there was a period of time where I worked really hard for a company and an organization that I really loved. I enjoyed what I was doing. I spent an enormous amount of time involved in investing in this company, and also in my marriage, in my life. And one of the things that abruptly ended was I was exhausted. I was
Hmm.
physically exhausted. I was mentally exhausted, and at some point in time, they both ended. My marriage and my work ended essentially at the same week.
Hmm.
And it took me a year. I took a sabbatical. I got on my bicycle. I went camping. I checked out. I exhausted myself, and I just checked out. And I took a sabbatical, and I traveled for a year. I went camping out in nature. I reconnected. I journaled every single day. I filled up books and books of things that are in my head, and I had to unplug. I had to unplug, and for that period, working for almost 20 years on a career, and then all of a sudden not having it, and I was so attached to that identity that I really had to redefine and become a new person,
Hmm.
and essentially, you know, reclaim some of the sanity that I had lost. And the reality is that that was a major change in my life, a major transformation to come back from. And now, even on a weekly basis, I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of activities that are going on. I'm a caregiver, and I really I run a business, and I have the show and everything going on. And there are times where I feel exhausted, and what I will do is I will take a break. I'll put it on a pause. I'll go for a bike ride, or I'll go outside, or I'll just change my state. Step away from the computer, take a break. And there are some times where we just have to put on pause and just change what we're doing and change where we are and think and give ourselves time to actually breathe and listen to ourselves and just be present and do nothing. Just be present. I meditate. I believe that meditation is very productive. It's been productive for me, and I just take moments of those days, and I do it on a regular basis, so I don't have the buildup over years of time. I take breaks on an incremental basis to allow myself to know and understand that I'm not Superman. I'm not anyone that can actually be a hero every single day. Sometimes I have to be my hero of the day, and I just have to be able to do that. And I forgot to turn my other
It's okay. Go get that.
I just wanted to, and that's what I do is I take a moment for myself and just do what I do and make sure that I have a little self-care.
So we do have a question here from Anita. She's watching us from India. She says, is Russ in stress until the outcome is achieved? How do you manage the stress? So I think it's about understanding how you achieve your outcomes, and do you stay in stress when you have an outcome to achieve?
Oh, thanks for that question.
Great question.
Yeah. I'm going to answer it this way. The reality of stress is that it's degrees of stress. And what happens for myself and I imagine this is many people, is stress develops when you feel out of control, when you don't feel that there is anything that you have control over. And so when I feel that building up, what I do is I will take a moment, pause, and write down a couple of the things that are causing this overwhelm, because it's typically overwhelm because you're thinking of all the things you're doing. So what happens is you're thinking of the future and you're thinking of something that you're not able to accomplish right now in the moment. And what we really need to do is actually write it down, get it out of our head, know that it is in the future, and then go back to the moment and manage what we have to do right now. What is the priority? Because sometimes when you're thinking about multiple things and you start getting stressed out about it, it's because we have too many things on our mind and we're not really sure what I need to focus on right now. And so one of the best things that I do is to avoid getting too stressed out or too much anxiety is that I put it on pause. I make a list and I say, okay, what's the most important thing I can do right now? Because I can only do one thing at a time. True. So if I can do this one thing and get it off my list and feel accomplished, and that goes back to gratitude for having, moving in a positive direction. If I can get this completed and knock it off my list, then I don't feel as stressed and overwhelmed as I did before that. So that's what I do, and that's what I encourage others to think about or consider.
Brilliant. So we've Andrea watching us. Hi there.
Hey, Andrea, how are you?
How are you? Super. Okay, so you spoke about journaling. You spoke about putting things down, like taking it off your mind and putting it on paper so that you can actually see what's going on in your mind. Now, sometimes the stress is not even because of us or what's going on in our mind. It's because of the people around us.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you can control, quite literally, because as you said, you switched off, you took a pause, you connected with nature, you went on a break, you go out on a bike ride. You're able to do that. Not all of us can do that,
Yeah.
especially moms, especially homemakers and people who have literally their whole world they're pivotal to their world, is at least that's how they think.
Yeah.
What would you recommend to them? I know it's a
Oh,
different world, but still.
I was thinking about this exact subject last night, and I had a lot of things that I needed to accomplish, and I had plans, and then something took place. What took place is not really important, is the fact that I had to change my plans in order to provide support to somebody else that needed help. And so I could either look at it two ways. And this is one thing that I suggest to anyone listening, or anyone that listens to this in the future or any time, is that, and it goes back to gratitude. We can look at it as, why is this happening to me? Or alternatively, why is this happening for me? And what is the lesson I can learn from it? What is it that's going to, what experience can I receive from this interruption or this chaos around me? And how can I observe it? And if you think about, just take a deep breath and just realize that there's so much we can learn from the chaos around us. And it's like, why is it chaotic to us? What is it within us that has this chaos that is being generated? Why are we feeling the way we are? And just explore that from an outside perspective and saying, that's interesting. Why am I feeling that? Then just take a deep breath and saying, why am I receiving this? And what can I learn from it? And changing your perspective from a victim versus curiosity. A lot of times will take us out of that chaotic feeling. The feeling that we're having it's just a feeling. And our feelings, we're not our emotions. We're able to think through that process and be who we are and learn from that experience. So it's a gift.
That's interesting. So when you say chaos is a gift, I'm just wondering how many minds are going to scramble just at that thought.
That's ridiculous, Russ. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Did he really say that? Oh, what does he mean that chaos is a gift? Of course it isn't. So well, and then when you're saying that, I think taking a deep breath and understanding why are you saying that it isn't a gift.
Yeah. And
Super.
There's so many things that and it's a safety factor. It's a safety factor in a way that we can actually provide some space for ourselves, even in the middle of chaos, that we can actually look outside and say, what am I receiving? What is it about this experience that is creating a lesson for me or creating an experience for me? And it's not necessarily that it goes away. It's just reframing it allows us to be less chaotic in the situation. more
True.
comfortable in the situation.
Yep. And something that I often talk about is to shift from concern to curiosity, childlike curiosity, not even
Yeah.
just curiosity, but just having that childlike curiosity to just go and kind of poke the trouble and the challenge and just see what it does to you. Does it bite you? What does it do to you?
Yeah, the best question to ask is why?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this way?
Why am I feeling
Okay.
this way?
Why am I feeling this way? What is it that what is it about this experience that is creating discomfort, excitement, stress, inspiration, any, and it doesn't have to be, feelings are feelings. They don't have to necessarily be positive or negative. They're feelings. We have emotions all the time. Our day is filled with emotions. Our day is filled with, responses and reactions and things like that. Somebody pulled out in traffic. Well, yeah, that happened. We don't necessarily have to respond to everything that happens to us. It's not a requirement. It's not mandatory that we have to respond to everything.
And I think what you just said fits so beautifully with what Anita has said. She says it's a mystique thing. So you have that thing about yourself, and that's how you're thinking. Cindy says, "I love that victim versus curiosity."
Yeah.
And Anita adds to say, "Learning from chaos with a smile."
Yeah, and smiles are proven to actually physically, some of the changes in our body when we laugh and smile can make a difference in our day. So it's happening for me, Andrea. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Brilliant mindset. Thank you. We have another question here from Ruba. She says, "How can we develop patience in such situations,
Oh,
in the chaotic situations?"
practice.
Thank you.
Practice. To expand on that a little bit, patience is a byproduct of listening to your reactions and your responses, your emotional attachments to things. And there again, last night I was rushing at some point in time to get things completed because I had an agenda in my mind. And then instead of that, I shifted my focus and suggested that they had road construction, and all of a sudden I was diverted. And my first thought was, what a pain. This is an interruption. And then I thought, I wonder what this journey will unfold for me, what this experience will. And what it was is I was listening to a podcast, and it afforded me the opportunity to listen to the more of the podcast. And had I been able to go where I had planned on going, it would have cut 10 minutes out of my commute, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to experience this podcast. So think of a possibility and find out, okay, what has this interruption allowed me to experience? And there's so many times in my life that I've had an opportunity to experience something unique and amazing because something was distracting me or delayed me or caused me to change my plans. And as a result of patience, instead of being stressed about it, I have a new discovery. And when you think about those terms, patience seems to be a byproduct of that.
True. And imagine if you would have, spent, instead of just focusing on the podcast, if you would have spent those 10 minutes grumbling, upset, angry, you would have spent those 10 minutes, but you would have just wasted them instead of utilizing them. So
it's the same 10 minutes.
It's the same 10 minutes, exactly.
How do you want to build your happiness? It's from inside. So I can either be happy about the opportunity or I could be upset about the disappointment. It's a choice.
It's a choice. So I like that. So victim versus curiosity. It seems to be the theme. It seems to be where how you run your life, how you find your happiness. Patience can be an opportunity, says Ruba. We were answering her question. She said patience can be an opportunity. Absolutely, it can.
Yes.
Tell me about, okay, so we've discussed about strength, we've discussed about patience. Now, what about the times when it feels like, I don't know what next? Like you were given a detour, you didn't know where or how long it's going to take, and as I said, same 10 minutes, but maybe you could have spent them being upset, or you chose to focus on the podcast because that's you've built your muscle.
Yeah.
So how do you what advice would you give to someone who's still got to get there, to get to that point of realizing that patience needs to be built?
My personal attitude is life is an adventure we get to experience. It's more about the journey we can take, and it's more about the opportunities that we receive and achieve in the journey. And so having the opportunity to actually not know can be the best way to discover it. And like I said at the beginning of our conversation, something in motion will continue to stay in motion. And so if you just open yourself up to gratitude and saying, all of my needs are met, all of my, I need nothing more. That opens us up to the opportunity that anything can happen. Anything is possible. Because when we know what our plan is automatically and intentful in a limiting idea. Because when we put plans together and we say, this is what needs to happen, that gives it constraint. And that gives us an idea that this is the only thing that needs to happen. And when we're open to the possibility of, especially in the idea of abundance, that affords us the opportunity to actually receive more than what we had ideated in our plans. And so if you think about it from that perspective, and you think about, okay, a lot of people are uncomfortable when they don't have a plan. And so I look at it as, I have an intention, I'm going in this direction. Now, with an intention, I have an idea. It's like the pirate ship up here. It's when you're sailing, it's like the wind's going to blow us over here. And my intention is to get to the other side. So it's going to veer me off course, and it could lead to an adventure. It could lead to an amazing experience. We might meet somebody that we wouldn't have otherwise met. And we might have a great conversation with somebody that just a random experience that gives us a new, fresh perspective on what we were thinking about. So be open to those experiences, be open to that idea, be open to that open-ended plan. And, not that we can't check things off our list and reduce our stress by getting things completed. It's just be cautious about how we limit ourselves and our ideas about what is possible.
So I think
experience the journey.
I love that. Experience the journey. I think just two days ago, one of my the quotes I did on my daily videos was, just when you think this is the best, it gets better, something like that. So basically, the idea was, it can get better even when you think this is the best.
Yeah.
So when in your mind you've decided this is the best and this is where I need to get to, there is scope for things to get better, and that is if you are open to receiving that, right?
Yeah.
So I love what you said, experience the journey. And Andrea also says, wow, I can relate to this so much. And looks like you've given her a new motto. You can be happy about the opportunity or upset about the disappointment. Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah. Yeah. I really also, and think about this, is that our experience up till now is based on our previous experience.
Yes.
So a lot of times we think in terms of what we know versus what we don't know, because it's more comfortable to us. It's
Okay.
a comfort thing. I'm familiar with this. I know what to expect. I can go to the TV, I can turn it on, I can open the door and I can go outside. There are known qualities about our history, our previous experience. And so thinking about the possibility, if we open that up to a larger possibility, and it goes back to that idea, let's be excited about the opportunities and the experience that we could achieve, and not the disappointments and the limitations that we have.
True. So we've spoken about quite a few things. I'm curious to know what are your thoughts on leadership, because we often see that we reference to the past when we're looking at leadership. Where the past plays a major role. Of course, we're moving towards the future, but we always reference to the past. Now, looking at the way things have been in the past few months, the year that has been, the whole concept of leadership is changing and it's evolving, if I may say so.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on leadership?
Well, thanks for asking that question. And I've led teams over the years and many different individuals. And the one idea that I love to plant, or the concept that I love to relate to, is helping people imagine a better outcome. It's a theme. Imagine a better outcome than they're currently seeing. And when you leave an individual and you allow them to grow and expand in an area where they may not even see themselves growing, and you can help them become a stronger individual, a more increase their talents and their abilities and their skills, and allow them to see a better individual within themselves. That's what leadership is really about. Improving the people that you're working with, improving their ideas and their attitudes towards what they're contributing to the team, and allowing them to see a better outcome and thriving in this environment that they are currently in, whatever it happens to be, and allowing them the opportunity to grow and learn and not be criticized or critiqued about things that they may not yet understand or appreciate. And I think when a leader can actually achieve that result and help people grow and expand their horizons and their abilities and their opportunities, that's what leadership is really about. It's not how much can I get out of this person. It's how much can I give into this person? How much can I pour into this individual to allow them to see the gifts that I see, and allow them to have their unique talents become a little brighter in the world, rather than, this is where you are, this is the box that you're in, and this is the only thing that you can do for me. And leaders actually see how big of an opportunity can I create for this individual. And I think that's the theme that I want to leave you and your community and everybody here with. It's leadership in helping people achieve a bigger result in themselves.
True. And from the way I see you and the way you carry on the work that you do, I see that you're a leader, because you are bringing out the goodness in the people that you're interviewing, the people that you're working with, and that's so, so powerful. So this is someone who is a leader for a team. What about I'm back.
Yep.
Yeah. So how important is it for you to be a good leader to yourself?
Self-care. Self-care. It goes back to the idea of taking, here, let me turn this back on.
Yes, please. We've got two questions. Is it okay if we go through them? Just got one more
Yes,
question.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So let me finish my thought there.
Yes, please.
Self-care is absolutely important. Take the pause. And also it goes back to learning new skills. Never stop learning. Never stop growing. Always be the 5-year-old that we talked about. Why? Why are my behaviors limiting themselves? What can I learn today? How can I grow? What do I need to achieve? How can I fulfill some curiosity? So that's how I continue to evolve as a leader and an individual, and being responsible for my own future.
Okay. Awesome. We have a question from Abdurrahim. He says, how to overcome from overthinking about a negative situation? No techniques are working at all. Can you help on this? Thank you.
Overthinking. That's related to overwhelm and, a stressful situation. And a lot of people experience that. And I know that there's a lot of people that stress over and really are challenged by it. And one of the techniques that I use and I have used and I've shared with other people is take a piece of paper and write down the problem or the situation that's causing or creating stress, and then write down the possible outcomes and make 2 columns. Take the best possible outcome, happy accidents, and then write down the worst possible outcome. And then look at them and say, okay, if this is the worst thing that could happen to me, what am I willing to do about it? What am I willing to think through? And ultimately, it comes back to full circle, taking responsibility for it. Because regardless of what happens to you, if you look at it from the bare bones basic outcome, so if you have to start all over again, what happens? If you lose everything, what happens? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to commit to? And then just keep writing that and understand there's stress and there's a response to stress. And when we actually respond to stress in a positive way, it moves us in a positive direction. The universe will provide to whatever we're working on, whatever we're focused on. So if you think about that and you think about, if I'm focused on the negative outcome, that's what's going to show up. If I think about the positive outcome and I work on the positive outcome and I take action towards a positive outcome and removing this stress from my life, that's the direction that you'll end up with. That's the result that you'll end up with. That's the information that you will be returning to your psychic and your mind and ultimately to yourself.
True. And we've got Anita, who's curious about your pirate background. So tell us about that.
So the Pirate Broadcast is a platform I live stream not like yourself. I only do 5 days a week. You do it every single day, and you've done 1,000 shows. Applaud you.
1,067.
Yes.
1,066.
You are amazing. You are amazing.
Thank you.
And what happens is those are the tiny habits that build up momentum. And I have to suggest that you are probably a prime example of someone that was in a dark spot and decided to take action and took baby steps and continued to do baby steps and continue to grow and expand. And your outcomes are much different than you had even imagined were possible when you first started.
True.
Yeah. So the pirate broadcast is an idea that when you're on a pirate ship, like I mentioned, the wind will blow us anywhere we can. It'll actually take us into lots of adventures. So the idea of being a pirate is adventuresome. Everybody is responsible. Everybody's contributing. Everybody's understands and appreciates what we have to do in order to accomplish our goals. The other piece of the pirate broadcast is that when in the early days, when radio is present, because I was in radio, is that if you're broadcasting without permission, you're considered a pirate broadcaster. You don't have permission from the licensing. You're not available to. You don't have permission. And nowadays, anyone can broadcast. Anyone can produce shows. Anyone can produce content, and you don't need permission. So you're now a pirate broadcaster. So the pirate broadcaster is the platform that allows people to experience what I deliver in the pirate syndicate. And a lot of people don't want to deal with the technology. A lot of people don't want to deal with the headaches and everything, the complexity of setting up a show and promoting a show and everything else. So that's what the pirate syndicate does. I do that for other people that just want to show up and share their message, to build authority, to be seen, to be heard, to be talked about.
Super. So thank you for saying yes to come on this humble show, and for all the wisdom, all the love and gratitude that you've shared with us. It's been super insightful. Thank you for everybody else who's joined us, Cindy, Vidya, Anita, Abdurrahim, for everyone who's let us know you were here and otherwise as well. Thank you for joining us on the live as well as catching up on replay. Thank you again, Russ.
It's been a pleasure.
Over and out for now.
All the gratitude.
Thank you. Okay, then we play the show reel once again. And good night, everybody. Thank you once again.